today on the 108 Flow podcast, I have Jon Waterhouse. He's a shamanic healer, he's a Kambo practitioner, and newly drum birther. Or you say drum creator. Thank you for coming on, Jon.
Oh, you're welcome, mate. You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm going to sit up a little bit because I've started to slouch already.
No, it's okay.
I wasn't expecting so many cameras and lights, to be honest.
I know. you like it though, don't you?
It's fine. It's a beautiful room, mate. It's a beautiful room.
Thank
This
you very
floor's
much.
amazing.
Thank you.
The copper's a vibe itself, isn't it? It's really nice.
I just wanted to know what drew you to being a shamanic healer and what really got you interested in that?
It was a journey of healing myself, really.
Yeah.
That was my initial intention, to just sort of work on myself.
Yeah.
Went down I started getting a bit of healing from my friend Joel Cunningham.
All right.
Up at Quantum Alignment in Morley. Fantastic guy. Really, really respect Joel as a healer and as a practitioner. And I went to see him one day, and I went on his E-Libra machine, which is a machine that you sort of put a crystal belt round you, you sit with some cuffs on, and the frequencies work with you, and the machine sort of aligns you back in and things like that. It's something I can't explain. It's not something I work with, but it was a very eye-opening experience, just sort of sitting with Joel for the day and chatting to him, and I think that sort of piqued my interest.
Yeah.
I'd always been down the road of conspiracies and Roswell and aliens ever since being young, but I think working sort of going down that road, and then I started microdosing psilocybin mushrooms.
Yeah.
And it just seemed to pique my interest to go down the spiritual route more. And it was not as long back as you think, really. Lockdown sort of piqued my interest.
Yeah. Similar time, it heightened it for me.
Yeah, I think that's when I sort of started looking down that route of, because I was so angry at what was going on in the world. It was affecting my health. I was in hospital with my kidneys 2 or 3 times, producing kidney stones through stress and stuff. I was fuming, absolutely fuming, like a lot of people were. So I think I had to do something. It came to the point where I knew that I needed to do something, because I was just angry all the time. I was tense all the time, and my illness, I was causing sort of illness within the body.
Disease, yeah.
Yeah, and I knew I had to do some work, so I went to work with Joel, and that sort of triggered me wanting more knowledge, wanting more information, which drove me down the Reiki route. I went and trained as a Reiki practitioner.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the first thing I trained with, was Reiki.
How do you find that?
I don't use it personally, mate.
Yeah.
I don't use Reiki. It was a beautiful course. Chris Crow-Summers over at Wakefield, I really enjoyed his course.
Yep.
He teaches the history of Reiki. For me, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
On my own personal journey, it wasn't enough, and I needed more.
Yeah.
So once I'd done the Reiki, it just inspired more interest, really.
Yeah.
More self-development, and I wanted to go down a deeper route, which is when I signed up with a lady called Stacey Keast, and went and trained with her for a year to be a shamanic healer.
Oh, cool. How was that?
Life-changing.
Yeah.
Life-changing, mate, yeah. It was a long year, and it was a very deep inward look. That was the first and foremost thing that you had to do, was start to look inwards. And that's when all the shit started coming out, and I had some toxic patterns and some awful stuff. Terrible, like all of us.
Yeah.
None of us are not susceptible to these things.
Definitely.
The system that we live in, we all run these patterns and these toxic behaviours. We've all got these energies within us. Anyone that says it's all love and light is sadly fooling themselves, I'm afraid, because we've all got everything within us. And it's how we let these energies dominate and how we let the system affect us. We can only control our own energy. And that's what interested me. I needed to work with this deeper, so I went to work with Stacey for a year.
Whereabouts was that then?
Down in Lincoln.
Oh, nice.
So we went down there, and that's where I learnt to birth drums as well.
Yeah.
With Stacey, I went to a drum birthing day, and we learnt to birth our own shamanic drums.
Oh, cool.
But the year's course was very intense. It was a massive, intense look, because before you could learn to do this work on other people, you had to look within. You had to really start to look within.
And that's where it's painful at the start, and it's like, but I think once you start uncovering bits and you get in, you're unpacking some of these programs that you didn't want there. It inspires you to go on even further, even if it means going down deeper.
Yeah. I'd led a very conditioned life.
Yeah.
And only then did my eyes start to open of how much I was conditioned, how much I was letting the system control me.
Yeah.
How much I wasn't standing in my own power, and I was controlled by others around me, and putting myself in situations that I shouldn't be in, emotionally and things like that, because I was in these energies of need and lack and victim and all of these patterns.
You're just so reactive then, and when you're in them states, you are just reacting to it.
Yeah.
And it's the states now, like, which I'm starting to get. Even when you think no's going on, you'll get a little indication of something that might happen in life, and then you'll go, you're so thankful that you're not reacting the same way that you were 5 years ago, and then you're like, that's just gratitude right there. So be grateful for it.
That's the growth. You've grown.
Yeah.
Do something different than you would last time, and that's growth. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
We all are conditioned, sadly, and it's the unlearning that we need to do.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's unlearning. So I was very deep in. I would describe myself as very deep in the toxic patterns.
Yeah.
Very deep in the conditioned ways. So for me, the shamanic training, it was unearthing things, but it wasn't removing them. It wasn't allowing me to release them. It was just showing me them.
Yeah.
And it was showing me them so intensely. I was sitting down in them deeper, which is a process that you need to go through. It was like a dark night of the soul. I was in it. And that's when halfway through that course, I came across Kambo, or Kambo came across me.
Yeah.
And I went and worked with Joel again. Joel's an amazing Kambo practitioner up there. And I did what we call a lunar cleanse, but I did it 5 times in a month.
Yeah.
And this was in the January. I was halfway through the shamanic healing course, being shown all this absolute crazy stuff. Really deep stuff. Once you start to work with the shamanic journey and you start to look within yourself, it's not easy.
It's powerful. I mean, I did the lunar cycle with yourself, didn't I? With you
Yeah.
being practitioner, and the aftercare were really good as well. And just
It's not easy.
when you're going through it, you don't understand. When people say, "Oh, you've had Kambo, what's it like?" and it's like all they see is throwing up. But when you try to say what you get out of it, the other side, and during, it's hard to put into words.
Yeah.
To try and sell it to someone, you've kind of got to be drawn to it, or
Called in.
You called in. Like I would called in on when I did a breath work, when we were doing breath work, breath of transformation, and I'd seen it clear as day. Seen the vision
People
of the
see
Kambo.
frogs, frogs
and
will
it
come
was like
to you.
right, and I were at that point, and I still am. If I'm pointed to somewhere, I'll just go and you've got to attack it, because otherwise it's going to get. I just see it as it's a level. It's like a game. If you don't pass it, you're going to be going round and you're going the wrong way. So
You've got to step out of those comfort zones as well sometimes. You know, this working easy.
no,
Kambo's not for everyone. And I went and did it 5 times in the month. So there was 5 Sundays within that January. Going back each week, it took my soul.
Yeah.
It really did. Getting to the 3rd and the 4th, it was like really sort of having me question what I'm doing.
Yeah.
By the time I'd got to the end of it, the work that I'd put myself through, no one was going to take that away now. I was different.
You felt a bit of momentum as well going with it.
Yeah, it started allowing me to release these things. And when you start to see these patterns, which is what Kambo does, it'll show you, gives you the clarity, and it'll show you the patterns, but it'll also give you the strength to release. And that once I started seeing the ability of being able to do that,
Yeah.
like everything else in my life, I become obsessed with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So once I started to realise I had these patterns,
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted them all out. I wanted everything out, and I literally went deep, and I sat with it 5 times, and I was unravelling, still doing the shamanic training.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm still working with that while I'm trying to integrate from the 5 weeks of Kambo.
Call that juggling.
So it was really profound, a really profound time. And then obviously 6 months later I decided to become a practitioner myself.
Yeah.
So I had to go away and do the training, which aligned with finishing the shamanic healing. So the graduation of the shamanic healing was the same week of me doing the 2-week training down in Liverpool with Lewis Powell.
Ah, cool.
So everything just was for self-development.
Yeah.
It was for me. And I was very guided and called to work with Kambo. Once I'd sussed this out, this way of releasing patterns and energies that we hold on to within our body that keeps us within those patterns, once I'd sussed this, I knew I could work with it and go deeper. And I knew I could help other people.
Yeah.
Because I've had every single pattern going.
Yeah.
I've been the most toxic person you could ever meet.
Yeah.
I was on steroids, I was angry, I was a professional cage fighter, I was typically the horrible person.
Yeah.
So I've been in every toxic, resentful, horrible pattern that you could think of.
Yeah.
And through this work with Kambo and the shamanic healing, I've lived through the shame and the release and allowed myself to release all of these energies from the body.
Yeah.
And with that, the patterns that they were holding me in.
You start to recognise them more if they are coming up now, don't you?
Now when they pop up, it's like a little sign. It's like a cartoon sign. Hello,
Yeah.
you're doing this again. And I'm like, oh yeah, I am. Corrected. And it's very easy now because there's not so many of them. When I first started releasing these energies and patterns, it was like a spaghetti junction.
Yeah.
There was so many. You didn't know which led back to what. You didn't know what part of your life that had come from, what trauma or whatever section of your life had led you into that pattern.
Yeah.
And it was at the time of the Kambo training when something really hit me. And it was Lewis Powell from the KPA then. He was using an example when he was teaching us. And it's something that, when somebody does a statement and it just
hits.
Like hits, and it's like, wow. And it was about the wild animal. And when it gets chased for its life, if you see a documentary of a wild animal getting chased for its life, if it escapes the chase at the end, it'll shake from head to tail for a good 10 minutes. It's releasing the pattern, releasing the energies from the body.
Yeah.
The victim, the fear, the fight, the flight, everything that it's had to take on to keep it safe during that chase, it's now releasing because the wildlife understands that you need to release these energies.
Yeah.
We as humans don't do this. We've been very much taught to hold on to these energies and wafer them down and sandwich them down. So we hold on to these energies, and if you go back to the animal, if it holds on to these energies, like if it holds on to victim, for instance, it will become a different animal. It'll hunt at night. It will eat differently. It will not be the same animal that it once was because it's living a different life, a different pattern, because it's held on to the victim energies. It knows eventually that's going to make it ill and it's going to cause it dis-ease within the body, which causes disease. Animals are smart. And this was like, wow. And all of a sudden it just clicked. We hold on to these energies that keep us within these patterns. It's very simple when you break it down. If you find a way, and it can be any way, to release these energies from the body, ecstatic dance, music, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Releasing these energies from the body is key to releasing the patterns. Once I'd sussed that, it was a way.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Kambo training went amazing. We had to do our 3x3 during that training, which was horrific, but beautiful in itself. Which is Kambo 3 times within 3 hours. How I'd got through that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Still to this day, I think I must have zoned out because How I drank that water 3 times
Yeah, I don't
within
know
3
either.
hours and took that medicine 3 times within 3 hours is beyond me. But I think by then, by the time we were in the training, we were all very much with the medicine, very much within the training, and Lewis is very good at that.
Yeah.
It's like being
Keeping
in
you engaged.
It's another world that you're in.
Yeah.
You're with the medicine, you're with the knowledge. And I think, I was just zoned out. I don't know how I got through that. If somebody said to me, do that now, I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah, you wouldn't turn up.
It's a lot. But so it was very much a self journey, self-healing journey, which along the way has allowed me to offer this to other people.
Yeah.
With the experience of, I've managed to find a way out of these energies and patterns.
Yeah.
And if I can, you can, anyone can.
Yeah, I know.
So that's how I kind of hold the space with the medicine. The medicine does the work, and I give this explanation, and together we try to release these energies from the body.
Yeah.
And then we analyse the patterns as they come up.
Yeah, no. I really like that, and I liked it when we did do the Kambo. Before we had conversations, because you wanted to know where my headset were, and I remember you were saying, what are you come for here? And I'm like, it's gluttony really for me, and you went, yeah, you're probably not going to get that answered. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm not a greedy person. Like later in the conversation, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really a greedy person, and you just like raised eyebrows. And he's like, you literally just said you eat too much. And I only thought back about it the other day. And what I found really interesting, ties it back up to shaking off the energies. You said the tribes also use the Kambo when they go out hunting, because the animals can sense
the fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found that, obviously, if you'd have told me that 5-6 years ago, I'd have said, yeah, bull. But more that I've got into it and what it did with me on the Kambo at the end.
It's pheromones as well.
Yeah.
When we're in fear, we give off a different pheromone.
Yeah.
Like animals are very in tune. So the wildlife can sense them a mile away when they've got fear or any energies holding. They can't concentrate. They can't do the hunting for 5 days. If they're wondering what Tiki's doing back in the village with the kids, they have to be focused. They have to be, fully minded, and that's what Kambo does for them. It allows them to release all those energies. The mind's clear, and they can go on the hunt. Yeah.
Well, that's what it did when I did the Kambo as well. It shook out of me. And each one we did, it got less and less.
Yeah.
But it was funny how it'd stop on the first session. And the music would stop. I'm like, oh, it's gone. And then like the next drum beat had come on and my body would just start shaking. I'm like, oh.
And that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of the wild animal.
Yeah, yeah.
Shaking those energies.
Yeah. And it's powerful how much it's coming through. And you haven't got... like, psychologically, when you sat there, or laid there, should I say, you're like, I'm not doing that with my leg, and it's just doing to its own beat and drum, and it's just letting it out.
Yeah. We are just energy, though, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. If you boil it down,
molecules held together by energy.
Yeah,
water and all those other things. We're just held together by energy and frequency.
Yeah,
and that's why it works, I believe, because it's just energy, and it allows you to release that energy. And once you do that, you're then gifted with this beautiful clarity of how long you've lived in these patterns, and my eyes were just opened, just fully clear. Unplugging from the matrix, I describe it as, because that's how it felt. Like I've not watched the news since.
Yeah.
I was very into the news and very much on what's going on in the world. I've not put on the news since. I don't watch TV.
Yeah.
I'll watch a show on Netflix if there's something I want to watch, but I don't put TV on a night anymore. I'm not influenced by it. I don't read the news on social media.
No.
I don't really know what's going on.
No, but I bet you're happier.
Yeah, I am much happier that way because it's all out of my control.
Yeah.
And it's how it affects my energy. That's the most important thing.
And you can see how it controls other people's. Like when they come at you and they're like, "Oh, have you seen this?" I'm like, "No."
Everyone's just living in fear.
Yeah, and it's taking your power back. That's the way I see it. You're taking your power back.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in that reactive state to everything.
Fear is controllable.
Yeah.
And the system that we live in sadly wants to control us.
Yeah.
And the way that they do that is with fear.
So how do you see us getting back to a more harmonised world? I'm not saying that's how it's going to be, but how would you see it being?
How would we have to do it?
Yeah.
We'd all have to realise the fear that we're living in.
Yeah.
Because we are super powerful beings, and they're kind of using that against us at the moment by using our own energy, by keeping us in the lower frequencies.
Yeah.
Everything that you switch on, everything that you listen to is a certain frequency, and it keeps you lowered down in those frequencies with reason.
Yeah.
Because when we all lift into those higher frequencies, we're uncontrollable.
Yeah.
And we can manifest, we're powerful manifesting beings living in these human shells.
Yeah.
They know this. These are very smart people. They're super intelligent. They've got the most smartest people on the planet working with them with these algorithms and patterns of fear that they program us with.
Yeah.
And it's all with great purpose.
Yeah.
All with great purpose to keep us controlled and keep us on the level.
Yeah.
The way we would have to change that is not be influenced by those frequencies anymore as a whole,
Yeah.
as not just a nation but the whole world.
Yeah.
Would have to stop listening to it, would have
Yeah.
to stop living in that fear, and would have to realise the power that they actually don't have
Yeah.
when you take that away. But everybody's hypnotised. It's like they're zombified. You see it yourself.
I am, but also I'm seeing a lot of positive change. Even on building sites that have been going on today, there's a lot of people are more susceptible or interested in why you've changed. Like, these are people that we haven't worked with in a couple of years.
Yeah,
Or say a year, so, and they've seen us like, you're not drinking anymore, you're not. But they're actually genuinely interested. It's not like, oh, you're not drinking anymore. You know,
So
take
this
it
is
piss.
good.
So the more people that I'm starting to see, they are actually asking questions for information, means they're curious. Because if you realise what projecting is, they're only projecting because there's something inside them that's wanting other answers from what they've been on. So that gives me,
confused and they're lost.
it gives me a lot of hope. And they say that it's the hope that kills you, but I'm seeing a lot of positive signs that people are not happy where they're living or how they're living, and they're wanting an alternative. And that's where I think what you're doing, and I think seeing what's happening in the space, is everyone is building these things up.
Yeah.
Like you are, and that's how I see it, is you went and did something because you couldn't live how you were living. So you went and found a modality to unlock yourself, and you're like, this is that great, I need to share it with the world. That's what I think a lot of people are doing.
Yeah.
I know this is why I've done the podcast as well, is because them painful moments that you go through, and you just like, I don't want anyone to experience this. I want someone to have a bit of a roadmap. Yes, I'm not going to say that I have all the answers, but I can only share from experiences that I've had, or I've guests on like yourself, and we can talk on experiences we had. It might help the next person to have a bit of guidance and go, oh, well, that might work for me. Especially with like the Kambo, it might be like, oh, that actually sounds up my street. And it's about everyone chipping in together and getting this well-rounded look.
Yeah.
That we're not, as finger doesn't have to be on the detonate button of self-combust, because that's where it's heading.
That's where they want us to be,
Yeah.
sadly. That's where the system wants us to be. It wants us to be in self-combust.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's so much about stopping these people experiencing it, because we are here to experience everything.
Yeah.
We've got to learn these things, and we've got to do that by experiencing them. But what we can do is guide them to not live in those energies created. And that's where I kind of try and work.
Yeah.
Is guiding people to be able to release themselves from those energies.
Yeah.
I try and keep it real simple like that.
Yeah.
We hold on to these energies. It really is. And I fully believe this with my heart and soul, that we hold on to these energies when we go through things in our life. And that's what keeps us in these toxic patterns, because we haven't released that energy that's held within the body.
Yeah.
And I think after years and years of compacting this energy, doing things, for me personally, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
It had to be something harsh like Kambo. Yeah. It had to be something that's going to help me get this out, because it was nearly 50 years of compacting these toxic energies. And if you imagine that as like a wafer of going down, it's quite some work to get to the bottom.
Yeah, and you've already tied all these patterns to a personality, and you're starting to realise how much of this personality is actually mine.
Yeah.
Because
You don't even
it's
recognise
all
yourself.
just so deprogrammed.
Yeah.
And it is about getting to that soul essence of why we came here. And the more you unpack, you're realising you do have more compassion for people, and you can see the traits in yourself, in others, and you're like, yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You're not doing it out here, you hate me.
Yeah.
You're stuck in a pattern,
And we can still make mistakes.
Oh, yeah, I still make mistakes all the time.
My human vessel enjoys cocking things up for some reason.
Self-sabotage.
It's like if you imagine it as a car. Sometimes you don't want to start in the morning.
Yeah.
And then when it gets going, it's fucking just destined to be a twat. Like, that's how I sometimes feel about my human vessel. But we're here to experience this, and we're here to learn this.
Yeah.
And we've got to learn all the darkness and we've got to learn to love that too.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to learn to love every part of being human. And that's the answer, I feel, is learning to understand and love every part of us.
Yeah, even the dark ones, and you can't release it, can you, until you get... I've seen a lot of people talk about it, and I remember when I first watched, I think it was Aubrey Marcus, we were on about it, and he went, you've got to release it with love. And I'm like, what's he on about? I don't even have that darkness. And then it starts coming out, and you're like, yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah,
everyone.
You're in denial if you think you haven't got any of these traits, because everyone's got some.
And it's there every day. It's there every day to be taken on. Someone will say something, and it will drag you down a little path of feeling some way, and that can lead you into a deeper feeling of resentment or anger, or any little thing can sort of lead you down into these patterns.
Yeah.
But it's also about being able to find your way back out of them. So a certain amount of fear keeps us safe, but living in it is dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. So we have these energies to our access. We can access these energies, fight or flight, fear, victim, to keep us safe at a time.
Yeah.
But that's what they are. They're energies. They're like suits that you put on to keep you safe at the time, or to keep you focused, or to do whatever. You hold on to these energies, and then you release them.
Yeah.
And that's the flow. That's the flow of life. And once that does that, everything's fucking golden.
Yeah, and it's like you saying that with when you are getting stuff reflected back up onto yourself, you realise that's a trigger. It means it's a loaded gun ready to go off. But I think that's a powerful thing, because behind your trigger is the point where you've got to lean into and go, what is it here? Why is it loaded?
But seeing that is a gift, isn't it?
It's an awareness. It's self-awareness is fucking so underrated.
It's a gift, because so many people will go through life not having that self-awareness.
Yeah, because you're unconscious. And you look so... But like me and colleague at work, Dad, we talk about it all the time, like how unconscious we were even 5 years ago, some of the stuff we were eating, and the way that we talked about people, and idle gossip. Like I always say, one of the first things that I noticed about myself that I did not like, but took so long to get rid of that. It were a battle, because when you bump back into people that you'd seen, and then be like, they bring up the conversation that you used to, and you're like, how do I swerve back out of it with like their mindset
Cut yourself
in there?
Off from society completely
you do.
For a while.
Yeah, and I think I've spoke this about many times. Is my awakening were pretty. I made it not look like anyone wanted to go through one, but I see it as a blessing now, because what I did is cut everyone off by me acting out, but it gave me a chance to go and dive deep into myself, and it allowed me that space. And now it's like piecing stuff together now with that mindset. And I don't know how it was for you, but when you went through all this awakening to it all, there's only so much you can take of that negative stuff. You needed that turn point where you're like, and I know it was for me, like, yes, this isn't working, telling everyone to wake up. It's not working at all. I'm making myself worse. I'm getting worked up because no one's seeing what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And it like, where's the power in what I know?
Yeah.
And that were the road to, right, there's all these things that I'm interested in. How can I change that negative to a positive? And that's what I think I'm seeing up and down board at the moment, is so many people are like, yes. And it's not, I seen a quote, I think it said, don't try wake everyone up, find your people. Like, find the people who are already awake, because they're the ones who are going to help.
Yeah.
And I bet you've seen it in your family, as you've been the light. Yeah, maybe the darkness, but the light now, and people are really querying, going, what happened for him to change the way he did?
My family think I'm insane.
I had it. They still do, but I'd rather be unique. You are supposed to be unique.
Yeah, all my old friends think I'm insane. My family thinks I'm insane. My kids think I've lost it. But in a great way, because they know I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I'm much happier than I ever used to be. And going back to the waking people up, another beautiful thing that was said to me at one point was, we don't need to wake everyone up. Not everyone's meant to wake up. We only need the lions, the sheep. We don't need everyone.
Yeah.
We just need the lions. And it's true. It's true. Some people are not destined to wake up. They're here to remind us what it's like when you don't. You know, they're spiralling in these things as a reminder to us.
It's quite scary, because I see people that are running from themselves at the moment, and you can see all the things that are happening, and I've tried nudging, and you're just like, it's going to get worse before it gets better if you don't. I'm like, and they're like, no, it's getting better, and I went, it's going to hit you in ways that you don't even see it coming. And I'm like, until you address it, I says, it's like me having this back room and just filling it up with crap and filling it with crap. It's not going to get any better. It's just filling up, and until it overspills and you can't fucking fix it.
That's how we've been taught to live, isn't it?
Yeah.
Push it down, ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist, get on, go to work,
entertain yourself,
do the 9 to 5, put the TV on a night, stay blanked. You know, look down at your phone, don't look up at the sun, don't do any of this stuff, don't go out in the forest, just sit at home, order an Uber, and just be...
Do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, just be that. And that's very much what we're taught to do.
Were there any, like, as you were coming up to it, what were the tipping point that made you want to change? Like, what was, if you can remember the catalyst of it?
I think ending up in hospital.
Right.
I was quite serious at one point. I think I had 9 kidney stones.
Wow.
Like 5 in the left and 4 in the right. I had to go in because they were blocked, and I was almost sepsis, almost died.
Really?
And this is from my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Steroids, diazepam, things that I thought were helping me at the time were actually the poisons that were killing me. The diazepam was for anxiety and depression and just trying to keep myself on a level, because I'd gone down the rabbit hole that deep. I could see how fucked up the system is.
Yeah.
But knew nothing of how to do it, and knew nothing of myself or anything. I was completely blind, like everyone else is.
Yeah.
Zombified, as I call it.
Yeah.
Very much living a toxic, poisonous, acidic life.
Yeah.
Which put me in hospital 3 times, and I knew then I was too angry. I was letting things get to me too much. It was during lockdown I was in hospital.
Right.
And I knew I was letting things get to me too much. It was like an awakening I had sat in the hospital bed, really.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to end up killing me if I carry on getting this worked up. I must have been banned from Facebook. I think it was about 13 times I'd had a month ban from Facebook during the lockdowns.
Yeah.
Posting every single day, like some people were really,
I did,
really
yeah.
obsessed with
because
it.
It's like a
Super
psychosis.
obsessed,
You're just like, why ain't everyone seeing this?
Unbelievable.
It's so easy to see,
Yeah.
but then you lose all credibility. That's where I think I lost a lot of credibility straight away, because you're too much on it. It's like,
yeah, apparently so. Yeah, apparently so. I got banned like so many times. And no one really listened anyway, I don't believe. Maybe I inspired a few people not to get the things, and I know my mum listened to me, which is...
That's a godsend, isn't it?
Yeah. But maybe that's the only person that ever listened to me. I was so fuming. I was I was livid, and it was making me ill. It was causing dis-ease within the body.
Yeah.
Because I was holding on to all these energies. I was living like in a war zone in my mind.
Yeah.
The first lockdown was so surreal. Like, all the streets were empty. I felt like it was the end of the world for some reason. It was crazy. Everything was so different all of a sudden. And I think a lot of people have not recovered from those lockdowns.
No, and I think the ones who shied away from it, they've now all got office jobs. Well, was office jobs, and they're at home, and they think it's brilliant because I think they're scared of the outside world. That's all it is. They say, yeah, and you die in comfort.
Yeah.
Like, it's opposite way
It's
around.
weird to watch, though, isn't it?
It's like Truman Show.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to a bloke on YouTube because I got into crypto, and all the conspiracies were all like tied into that. But he was telling me all the stuff that were going to go down, and like, everything were happening as he was saying it, and I was like, this is fucking wild. And he's like, wait until this and that. And I'm like, I was just speaking to Daz today about they've just released as a rehabilitation thing for prisoners where they can, I think it's like, so they hook you up to a computer. So if you've done 10, you're supposed to do 10 years. They can hook you up, and you've served, in your head, you've served 10 years. It's only been 15 minutes. I went, that's really, do you know what? In the right hands, that is a brilliant idea. But I says, I wouldn't trust any government official to hook me up to something for, I wouldn't even like to think what power that has. And again,
but I feel like that's happened to me, you know.
Do you?
Yeah, I feel like I've had a decade stolen.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
No, I hear about it all the time. I hear about quantum jumping and...
I do. I've lost 10 years. I don't remember it.
Wild,
I don't know where it's gone. And it surprises me that I am the age that I am, because I just don't understand where it went.
Where it went.
I know that I did a lot of raving through the 80s and 90s, but it just seems to have vanished. Like, I've lost a decade, and I think I've definitely... I feel like I'm 42, not 52.
Yeah.
Genuinely. I'm not even making this up.
No.
I'm convinced that I've jumped timelines or something.
Yeah.
Because I'm not 52. It's bullshit.
Is there any real standout moments on your awakening? Like the one moment that you could say that's been like the moment that lit you up? Something really stand out to yourself?
Everything changed for me during that time of the 12 months of doing the shamanic training, working with Kambo, and doing the Kambo training to finish.
Yeah.
That 12 months was a whole light, because I went to my first spiritual festival during that 12 months. So after I finished my Kambo training, a couple of weeks later I went to Medicine Festival for the first time. And that's life-changing in itself.
Yeah, I still need to get that. I know it's not on this next year. But
that was unbelievable. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. For 5 days you're living in the fields barefoot, eating vegetables and listening to all this amazing music. And
you meet some great people then.
Yeah, it was life-changing.
Yeah.
Life-changing. It was unbelievably life-changing, and I'd never been to anything like that before in my life. So to land there, after everything that I'd just been through with the Kambo training, it was just that whole period was like a full awakening for me. Everything just kept happening so magically.
Yeah.
And again this year I've just followed the festivals and had the most amazing summer again.
Yeah.
And I keep things really simple now, Craig.
Yeah.
I like a fire and a drum, and you know, I don't really see many people.
Yeah.
When I do, it's at the gatherings or it's at spiritual events. I don't have a 9 to 5. I'm very blessed to be working out in the woods with the dogs every day. So I don't have to integrate with people.
Yeah.
Until I want to.
Yeah.
Which is an absolute blessing. So I can sort of stay in that shamanic life. I'm birthing drums. I'm out in the forest with the dogs. Serving Kambo, and I'm doing the gatherings, and that's basically all I'm doing, really, keeping it simple. I'm not affected by the outside world at all as much as I was.
Yeah.
I know things are going on, but I also know they're out of my control, and I don't live in fear by them anymore.
No.
I'm not angry, and I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything anymore.
No.
You know, people can...
Be the honeypot. Let them come to you. Like, that's the way I see it. Is like, you have got to embody everything that you know, and you've also got to bring the light. And as you do that, what does the light attract?
Well, it's going to attract.
Yeah.
It's going to attract other light as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Because you're emanating it, aren't you? And people then get interested. Like, I see it as like it's levelled out the boat for me, or on choppy shores when you're going through mine, very choppy. And it's now steadied out, and people are starting to see where I'm trying to aim for and what kind of vision I've got. So that and it's visions that they can get on board with. Because for me, if we can raise strong family units, we've cracked it, because that's where it all holds, and that's what they've been trying to attack for a long time now. Feminine movement, and then LBGT, all these different things.
They're attacking masculinity.
Yeah, exactly. But making us hate each other, any way of dividing, pulling, chopping, any of this. And it's the children's minds they're trying to infiltrate. And I think there's a massive, massive movement at the moment on wanting to homeschool. I know that we're very interested in doing it. I'm hoping the people who are doing the homeschooling at the moment may become teachers in some other form of education. I think the old system's gone. I think it's crumbling in front of his eyes at the moment.
I think homeschooling is the way.
I think it is, yeah. And I think with AI coming up, it's not going anywhere, is AI? It's not. And it can work in his favour, I see. I can see if we can integrate it right. I'm not saying be part of us, because I think that's where they're wanting is transhumanism, where you are like these chips here in your head. I'm not saying integrate it that way. I'm saying it is going to take over jobs. It probably did in ancient times. No one knows how pyramids were built or any of that. Who's saying AI didn't coexist and build it? And I think we're just I think we're just going through that cycle of getting back to that stage. And I think it's going to really speed up over these next few years.
Are you talking Skynet then?
It could be. I don't know.
Because that's all I can think of when it says AI.
I just think. I see like
this. What happens when it goes wrong?
Well, that'll just be a cycle, and everything's divine. Because if you read back into old biblical texts, and they're saying when Babylon falls, that's kind of what America and England are at the moment. They've got to that point of it needs to rechange. I see like Atlantis and stuff coming back. Because they weren't just in one Atlantis, they were all over the world. And it's these... I think if you look at all this building and architecture, it's all boxes. Well, nature isn't boxes, is it? And I think with AI and this 3D printing and stuff, it is going to be geometrical buildings. And I think the whole... I see many visions of how it can go. You know what I mean? I think going into the forest and living there, that I want to be in both worlds, but we need.
Me personally, I'd be off.
Yeah.
I'd be off.
I know you'd love to live out, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd be off. I'd be gone. I'd cut ties with this whole thing.
Yeah.
Very happily, and just go live off grid.
Is that what the plan is then? Or do you just
are
you just seeing what paves where? Or
I don't even have a plan, Craig.
Yeah.
No, because my life's changed so rapidly. So quickly, I've lost all plans of anything. And I'm sort of in trust of the universe and the fact that I'm being guided to do what I'm doing.
Yeah. And
it will all work out. I have no plan, no future plan, no future security, no. I own nothing.
Yeah.
I own nothing. I just sort of float through life.
Yeah.
But I don't have a lot of the worries that come with that stuff either.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, there's always worries attached to all that, isn't there? And
yeah.
I don't...
I kind of think when people bang on about the pension, but they're so living in fear and sort of living in these habits and these patterns that they're not going to make pension age anyway. So why worry about it? Like, the way you're going, you're not going to make it.
Well, they're not even happy. This is a reoccurring conversation that keeps on going on. Is they don't even know what they want to do when they retire anyway. So if you've looked at people who are happy when they've retired, they tend to do the things that they've done all their life because it wasn't a job to them. No. They carry on doing it. It's only the ones who I can't wait to retire. And I'm like, really? You didn't know what to do? All you've done for the last 40 years, get pissed on weekend to forget about your job. You don't know who you are.
I think by the time we retire, the world's going to be a very different place.
Oh, yes, massively.
It's changing so rapidly now. By the time we get to retirement, not so much you, but by the time I get to retirement age even, it's going to have changed so massively that how could I have a plan?
Yeah.
We don't know what's coming.
No, we don't.
We don't know what's coming next. And I think lockdown taught us that.
Yeah.
That we never know what's coming next.
Do you see it as a great thing though now? Because I'm just very grateful for it did what it did. Like,
part of me loved the chaos of because everything's boring. Like, life's all the same, and all of a sudden everything was so different. It was like, fucking hell, this is crazy. It was like something you'd seen in a movie. I remember driving round on a night and there wasn't a soul to be seen on the streets. It was like
weird.
It was like a movie. And then obviously we were being told where we could go and what we could do, and I was like, fucking no way.
Well, it strips it all for me, because I used to like going out to restaurants, like going for gigs and everything. It just like took the shine off everything I like doing. So it like, I really paid me off to be honest, but it shook me. It shook my world where I was comfy to be like, they were things that I liked, and now they've mixed it all up and like took shine off it. I need to go find something else.
Yeah, I think that's what happened with me as well, is because they shut the gyms.
Yeah.
And I was in the gym every single day. I was still training fighters up to the first lockdown. And I was in the gym every single day, and all of a sudden the gyms were shut. And I was like, wow.
It made no sense. We need to feed you.
I remember a Pure Gym, it's open 24 hours a day. What are you talking about? It doesn't shut. No, it's shut.
Because it's a health scare, we need to give you all fast food and shut all the health clubs. It made no sense at all.
Unbelievable, wasn't it? And I couldn't believe what people were falling for. I was amazed.
Yeah, did it pick it was certain people that I didn't think could have been like controlled, and they just mindlessly did it, and I'm like, and I know a lot of people who aren't even like conspiracy minded, like they lost a lot of respect for family members. I know it broke a lot of people up because they're like,
it did. And that was his intention.
Yeah,
it was the intention to break up families and seclude people and isolate people, get them all working from home. Those people that you're talking about that are working from home, they're very isolated.
Yeah.
Some of them are not married. They don't leave the house now. And I know this because my friend was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
He went from an office job to working from home. He doesn't have a partner. He wasn't leaving the house. He was going to Asda, coming home, and that was it. That was his life. And that's very much what they intended for us, is to live that isolated life, living indoors, ordering everything online. That's how they want the system.
Yeah, because we're not supposed to live like that. We're social beings,
we're not created like that.
And when we do that, and most people are tuned into social media and comparing themselves to people, and they already think they're worthless as shit. And then it's this, even the task for some people going to Asda is they built it up, this fight or flight mode, that's going to be the worst thing. You can see it when you bump into people that you used to either go to school with or you knew, and you can see how unease they are with themselves, and it's like, I just want you to know that you're all right.
People are on so much medication that they rattle when they walk. It is that simple. You know, the anxiety medications, the depression medications, the things that they hand out to these people is soul destroying.
It's to block every feeling. It's to block feelings, because if they knew where these feelings were, and like Eastern practices is, you're supposed to feel these feelings to know as an indicator how to get rid of them or to lean into it. And we're taught to numb it with drugs, alcohol, and these prescription drugs. And it's just wild. And I think, as you say that, I remember my dad saying they'd gone to the pub with some of his mates and not seen in years. And they used to always like compare women that had been with cars or whatever. And he went, now we're all comparing how much medication, what medication we're all on. And I'm like, he's telling me that laughing.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's
just...
Yeah, it's just...
It don't mix...
It's part of life.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a part of conditioning, but it's like, He always laughs at if I've always got potions or whatever, you know, like tea I've given you. I know you're not a big fan of that tea.
It's going
David
down,
Clapcode
Craig.
now,
It's
mate.
going down.
But it's like that is what we're put on earth for us to use, not... If you understand like what all medicine is now, it's only been synthetically changed from the actual remedies. And UK government, I think for the last 3 years, tried banning herbalism.
Yeah.
And
That's what they do. They patent
Yeah.
the things within it. They'll steal it, patent it, and then they'll ban the substance itself. They're doing the same with Kambo at the moment. They're trying to patent certain peptides and alkaloids, and you can't do that with nature. But they do.
Yeah, they can to a certain extent.
They
just
break
so
the rules.
Yeah.
They break the rules, basically. As far as I understand it, you can't patent something that's nature created.
No, that's why they do put. That's why they have to put synthetically.
They synthesise it, so they're getting the same results, but it's not, is it?
No, well, it's not, and
it's
it's playing.
again,
It's playing God, isn't
control.
it?
It's control again. The medications that people are on now are quite shocking when you start to look into them and the damage that they do to the body and the frequency that they lower you to is quite shocking.
Yeah.
And they'll hand these out to people with such small complaints of anxiety that could be sorted out, as you know, with natural remedies very easily, very cheaply. But it's not. They're given these synthesised chemicals that they become reliant on. The other things that are in with them are really bad for you, and that's to keep us going back to the system, going back to feed the beast, if you like.
Yeah.
Because they know once people turn to natural remedies and holistic remedies that I can't remember the last time I went to the doctors.
No. Well, you're not supposed to be. Your food's your pharmacy.
Yeah.
And that is I know what I should and shouldn't be eating. I sometimes eat foods that I shouldn't be. I'll get to a point where I'm not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't know, when there's that many things wrong with you, you don't know where to pinpoint it because you don't know which fire alarm's going off.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with these drugs that they're giving them. And I think Dana White touched on it, is the doctor will give you these to sort out these five alarms, but now they're setting off another 5 over here through the side effects.
You're becoming reliant on them.
Yeah.
And your character's becoming reliant on them, your frequencies down, your energies that you are supposed to be releasing are now being ignored.
Yeah.
You're becoming...
Dependent on them, aren't you?
You're becoming full of distortion. Distortion causes the disease.
Yeah. And I think what's scary for me, and I've noticed it, is we know America's bad. Not like in general, like their health system's terrible and the way that they're one of the most unhealthy nations. But through start of COVID and leading up now, all you see is their franchises coming over here and everything. Like they've bought the football team, like their Hollywood stars have bought the football teams, and you see everything's like a Wendy's or a Five Guys, and you just like, yeah.
I don't see these things.
Yeah, but like, and the healthcare, like our NHS is really good. You can see it shrinking and it going privatised, and people are like, oh, that'd be great because we'd actually get to see someone. I'm like, maybe for someone who can afford it. I'm like, not everyone can.
No.
But I think it's good to, again, the divine thing in it is people who won't have the money, who do want alternative ways, will start going back to a more holistic way.
Hopefully.
And started to see these remedies do work.
Yeah.
What other modalities do you use in daily practice that work for you? Like what type of meditations or?
I use shamanic journeying most days with the drum, which is a meditation. Yeah, it's a meditation, so to speak. I still work with Kambo. Obviously, the gatherings are very much my energetic release at the moment. Yeah. Places like that with the drums and the fire. That's where I seem to release that energy. Awesome. So I only really use the modalities that I'm trained with. I don't go out and sort of have other people's modalities at the moment. I've not been anywhere. I just sort of... The thing that I did when I did the shamanic training for a year, I then told myself I had to sit with this for 2 years before I could offer it. Yeah. which is why I don't advertise or offer the shamanic healing.
Yeah.
Because I'm still sat with it.
Yeah.
I'm still doing it myself. So I don't really push that side of things.
Yeah.
I'll offer the Kambo more because I've done so much work with Kambo. I felt ready to offer that. I don't feel ready to offer the shamanic healing. I'm still sat with that. So every day I sit with that.
Yeah.
Birthing drums is very much a release for me at the
They look
moment.
brilliant, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really enjoying the drums at the moment. They're teaching me so much. Everything's a lesson. I went to Medicine Festival this year and I was blessed to hook up with a guy called Geeta Adams, who births djembe drums.
Yeah.
He's like I think he's 76. He's an African 76-year-old shamanic guy. He's the craziest guy you'd ever meet. And he makes drums, and he was sort of, I got to spend time with him that weekend, and he was telling me how the drum will teach you things and it will show you your emotions. And when you start sitting in drum circles, it will show you the emotions of other people. And I was
What
like,
did you first think when you heard that? Because I've
was like,
had,
what is he
I've
on
had
about?
moments where people will tell me stuff and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. And now I'm like now I'm not shocked by what you're going to tell me.
Yeah.
Where I know we're always apprehensive what other people are going to think, but you're like, no, I've
Yeah.
experienced it.
well, the drum from shamanic training had already taught me so much.
Yeah.
The work that we do as a shamanic healer is sort of to the drum. It's all shamanic divination work, and it's becoming a bridge between here and the other realms, a solid bridge,
Yeah.
where you can sort of do the work for yourself and others. But for me, that takes time to become that solid bridge, and I'm still working with that very much.
Yeah.
Um,
It's good to identify that though, and
Yeah.
you know, like really, that's how you're building up your own experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's how you build up your
I
knowledge
can't
to
offer
share.
I can't offer things out to other people that I've not done on myself first.
Yeah.
I think you're very much a representative of your own modalities. So if you're walking around with a shitty energy, or you're working around with work that hasn't been done, then you're representing that modality that you offer.
Yeah.
Which is why I try and stay clear and fresh,
Yeah.
focused, which is what Kambo brings. I also like to release energies, and that's where the drums come in for me now. So this shamanic guy was like, it'll show you and it'll teach you your emotions, and I'm like, what is he on about? And it does. It so much does. So if you come to the drum and you start playing and you're feeling a bit of a way, it'll start coming out in the rhythms, and it'll show you the rhythm will represent. You'll start to recognise the rhythm and the emotion, and you'll tie these emotions into the rhythm, so you'll know how you're feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you can change it. You can change the rhythm, which will change the way you're feeling. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
no,
and
I
it's
get
really
it.
simple.
No,
again.
I know you're like laughing at me, like thinking, oh, he's judging. I'm not, because when you're saying that, it's same as when I don't think I can pick up a pen to start writing down some ideas. Then the ideas just flow.
Yeah.
And they're like, where did they come? They weren't in my head 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that's only the same way as playing the drum. You're like, don't really feel like I know how to play it, but the more that I hear it,
Yeah.
this rhythm starts to form, and it's
And
coming through you.
It'll show you how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And then he's right, like because I hold the circles at the gatherings now, and other people come with their drums, and I can see from their rhythms and the way that they sit at the drum how they're feeling, and I can start to read how people are feeling now through the drumming, which is fucking crazy because it's teaching.
Well, you're
me.
seeing the pattern, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm seeing the patterns,
And not only seeing it, you're hearing it, aren't you?
Everything's just such a lesson.
It's quite cool, that.
Yeah,
I
and
can see
it-
smile beaming on you.
It's such a lesson, but it's so beautiful because it's like a gift. It's like a gift again.
Yeah.
I've been gifted with this knowledge from somebody, and it's gone ping, a light's come on, and I'm like, shit, yeah. And drums are the most ancient of healing modalities.
Yeah.
The shamanic drum is the most ancient of healing tools used. The frequency itself is healing.
Yeah.
But when you start to work with things like the djembe, you can really, and I know this is right because I've spoken to other musicians that play guitars and things, and it does the same thing. It's for any musician. It's not just a drum.
Yeah.
It'll show you how you're feeling, and it'll show you how others are feeling, and it will teach you how to correct it and release the energies again.
Yeah.
You're going back to it, it's releasing energies from your body.
Guess that's why they call it an instrument as well, isn't it?
Yeah, really is that simple.
Yeah.
It releases. If it releases, not only will it release the chemicals within the brain,
Yeah.
the endorphins and whatever.
Also the frequencies, yeah.
Yeah, but also it's teaching you, it's guiding you all the time.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'm very much still considering myself in the learning process,
Yeah.
in the self-development process. It's been a year and a half now since I did the shamanic training. I finished it.
Yeah.
So another 6 months, maybe I'll start offering that now.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
The Kambo, I'm still very much. She guides you as you're working with her.
Yeah.
So people will come, and I'm getting a nice steady trickle of people that are ready to work with her.
Yeah.
Which I like. I don't want people just coming for the sake of working with Kambo.
No.
Sometimes people have a spiritual checklist. I need to do ayahuasca, I need to do Kambo, I need to do this. And they're searching for something, they're searching for this breakthrough that's sadly never going to come when you're looking.
Yeah.
Because these things are they're not for that, they're a tool. You've got to look within.
Yeah.
You've got to go within.
I think, like we spoke about earlier, you've got to have that indication to do it as well. Because like Kambo, I knew what Kambo was, I think, but it wasn't on my checklist that I wanted to do. I'll be honest, it's not the thing that I've done plant medicines and like ayahuasca's still very much on my want to do list. But again, it's every time that I've just wanted to try go do it, it's not lined up. So it's universe going, nah, not your turn to do that. It is something I want to do because Peru's definitely the venue that I want to go to and see Machu Picchu. But it's just, you've got to know when your calling is and that checklist. And I think we all do it when you get into the spiritual. It's a new world. It's a completely new world. There's all these new things. We're not even new. They're ancient. But you like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then you're like, no, let's just
but you
slow
can
it down.
rifle through that list, and you don't know.
You've
which
missed
part,
out. Yeah,
you don't know which part's done what.
No, you don't.
You've not integrated any of it. You've gone this, and this, and I'm here, and I've had all these breakthroughs, but I don't really know what did what. For me, the Kambo is the only medicine I'm working with.
Yeah.
Kambo and rapé are the only medicines I'm working with, and sometimes mushroom.
Yeah. I wanted to speak on the rapé. Because I was reading a book, in fact I'm going to give you it today, because I was reading it and I don't know exactly what the book was called. It were two serpents, but it were about a bloke going out. He was an American who went out into the Amazon rainforest, and he was very sceptical of what they were all doing, but then he was seeing all these patterns of how they were healing him, or if he got a bit, or he'd come down with something that'd tell him to use this remedy, and it'd do exactly, it'd hallucinate off some of these things, or it'd do exactly what he said. And he went, there's just too much that they know that we don't. And then he said it were coinciding of what we were talking about earlier about America and them getting all these patterns because they were using the log, and he was like, but they weren't paying these Amazonians the money that they were.
Sadly, that's
and he says it's a brilliant. In fact, I need to search up the author because it obviously will be a lot older now, and I will give you the book because we're going back to rapé. He was saying the entities that on the receiver, they can make you want rapé more to open you up. And I know this, well, not know this, but I'm saying in my experience, I started to use it once a day or more times.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I was using it in meditation on the morning, and I was like, I've gone from sniffing cocaine to now I'm doing that, and I'm like, this is fucking,
I did the same thing.
This is stupid. Like, it's the monkey mind going, and I've had it's good for grounding you, but I've had far better breakthroughs just through breathing, that is it.
Yeah.
And just being present.
Breathwork's a superpower.
Oh, yeah. And I think that the one for me that's really broke through is like Joe Dispenza, one of the first ones that got me into it. It's heart coherence. Heart and brain coherence. It's like, I don't know. That I felt like I quantum jumped when I did that. It was like the heart expanding. You just feel everything went off, and it's like you walk out of the door that day and everything's just. You're meeting the right people. The conversations are lighting up. It's just like you just put on this. I always think like that rail that the doors are on. I feel like life's like on frequency of that rail. And when you're in that heart space, it puts you on this rail up there, and it'll only let people who's actually on that frequency and open to stuff bump into you in that moment. And it's
the universe kind of agrees with anything that you say.
Yeah.
So if you say life's shit, the universe is going to agree. You say life's beautiful, it's going to agree. And that is the simple fact of it. The universe and life is going to agree with whatever you say because you're creating your own universe.
And you've casted the spell with you.
Yeah. So it's going to agree with you. Back to rap here. So for me, I did the same thing. I started doing it once a day. Thought it was helping with my meditations. In fact, I was doing it more than once a day, a couple of times a day sometimes. It's far too much. I use it now as part of ceremony.
Yeah.
I may pick it up if I'm feeling a little bit out of sorts, or sometimes when you wake up and you're feeling everything's a little bit fast.
Yeah.
You just need a little bit of grounding. Sometimes I feel oversensitised.
Yeah.
Rapé will ground me down from doing that.
Yeah.
But it's very rarely that I'll just pick it up and use it now.
Well, mine were just in my
It's tobacco, it's addictive. We have very addictive natures.
Yeah, and that's what it also said in the book. It says, but you don't realise what entities is holding you, pressing on that button to get that, because that's what brings them in. Because he was saying,
of course,
with ayahuasca is like the I can't remember if it was the father and the tobacco's the mother, and it was saying it's the same thing. But they can call in, and I'm like, once you realise energies, yeah, and it was there. Like as I was reading it, I was like, this is fascinating, and I know it had a bit of a hold on me. I'm doing 30 days just off, just because I've realised anything can be your god. Like I try not to eat chocolates anymore, so I've moved on to dates, and I'll have dates and peanut butter, but I eat far too many, and it's like, anything can become your god if it's what you're thinking about 30% of the day, or mainly through the day, it's becoming your source of your God. Yeah. And you need to start then. It's the same thing as everything in the outer world. It's like bring it back, like refine it back to what it should be.
This is where social media is so dangerous.
Yeah.
Because people are spending far too long reading far too negative things.
I think Facebook's terrible for that.
Yeah, teaching you
just don't go on it anymore.
You're not good enough. You've not got enough. Everyone else's life is happier than yours. The things that it's teaching you subliminally on there is shocking. Is shocking. And still, I'll talk to this about you, and I'll still pick it up when I get home. And when I'm having a coffee, I'll still pick up Facebook and I'll look at it, knowing the poison that it is. Yeah. I'll still pick it up. Why? Our human has to be human as well, and we have to allow that. Yeah. We have to have these things in our life where we can't be perfect all the time.
No. It's about balancing it, and I think Sam were on it the other day on podcast, and he just said sometimes you've just got to do some of the things that you used to enjoy doing. Nothing's wrong with it, and that's what I felt like I did. Is I started deleting all my applications, everything, and then it was like, oh well, I've started eating this food, but no, there's this wrong with it. I'm like, no, if my body feels good after it, eat it. Yeah. If it's something that I used to do and used to have a laugh, and I still can go and enjoy it and drop all the strings attached to it, and I feel good after it, and I'm not doing all wrong to my body, go do it. You're here to experience life, but I've went through that point of just cutting everything off, and it was like, I can't
live like a monkey.
That Ian Beale moment. I've got nothing left.
We don't live in a society where you can cut everything off like that.
No, you're not supposed to either.
We're not supposed to live like this anyway.
No,
we're supposed to live in the forest. Right, aren't we? We're supposed to be living off the land. Out in the forest. We're not made to or designed to live like this.
No,
and that's what I tell people when they say they're anxious or they're depressed. don't be so hard on yourself, because we're not designed to live like this, and we're designed in a system that's designed to make you feel anxious and depressed. We're fed all these things through social media, and even the foods and the water.
It's through comfort, isn't it? That we've got disease.
We're very much designed to make us feel anxious and depressed. So don't beat yourself up that you're actually feeling the ways that the system that you live in is designed to make you feel.
I'd say good you do feel like that, because now you know where your power lies. You're going to find out.
At least you're feeling something.
Yeah. And the way out of it is taking your sovereignty back. Not you. We know about toxins. Like, I think the thing on fragrances is that's the number one, and that's what everyone sprays upon them, and it's like all in your house, and it's.
Do you know, since I haven't used deodorant for a few years, and I don't smell.
No, you don't
get BO, but I used to, in between using deodorant. It's the deodorant that actually blocks your pores and blocks everything that needs to
puts
do.
heavy metals in you.
Yeah. So I think, again, it's just experiencing it for yourself and finding out for yourself that these things are actually that good.
Well, I used to put aftershave on, and we went out with our kid the other day, and I was like, fuck it. You know, and it's just sprayed it, and I can't breathe, it was like choking me.
Yeah.
And we went out to a restaurant after, and it triggered me. I'm like, I haven't been able to, I always like, my breathing's been terrible the last few times we've been to restaurants, and I'm like, I know what it is. It's everyone else's perfume and aftershave, because I'm not used to being in it. So I've got to take an antihistamine before I go out. But I'm like, it's mad just because you've taken them out. I've got asthma and I've got certain stuff with
so
allergies. So it's like it just heightens it, and because you've not been in that environment, it's like all at once. And it's mad once you start taking stuff out, you can't go back in.
I did the same with dairy, with milk. Obviously, I used to drink it in coffee every day. I haven't had milk for a long time now. And as soon as I go to someone's house and they'll make me a coffee with milk, I can feel it. I can feel it the next day, or even the same day. My belly just don't like it anymore.
Is it like mucus as well? We like cheese. I still like cheese. I have it time to time, but I have it next morning. I know straight away because I get mucus. Yeah. And when I try to meditate and I'm trying to nasal breathe, it's like, no, it's not happening. Well, it's just a ball of snot.
I'm going through trying to cut out gluten at the moment.
How's that going?
There's nothing to eat. There's nothing to eat, mate. Like, when you start looking at what actually, there's nothing left to eat. I think I've got a lettuce and a tomato left to eat. Like, that's it.
I've got an interesting one for you at the moment, though. After listening to Essenes and how they lived, and Jesus was apparently a Essene, how they only ate local seasonal food. So you're like, well, no one would be gluttonous, because Zoe asked the other day, and she went, so what could you actually eat now? And I read out there about 20 items, and I went, you ain't going to get fat off them. You just won't be. No. But it's something I've noticed when you go into supermarkets abroad, they don't have all these world foods. They just don't. They're not even half, they're not even a quarter the size of what ours are. But if you look at ours, I'm a foodie, and seeing all that all the time, you can have whatever you want, can't you?
I've not been into one of our supermarkets in a very long time.
Yeah.
I think since lockdown.
Do you do locally sourced then?
Yeah. Supermarkets are such a low vibe energy.
Yeah.
I'll just get local.
Yeah, this where I'm heading with it now. It's because I think these are the little things what people can do is to change the world, is to stop feeding the system.
Yeah.
Like, the more we start to do it. I mean, at the moment, I'm on the conscious part of, yes, I'll go to Morrison's, but I won't go to a self-scanner because I like that human interaction. I know how important it is for that little old dear, which maybe could have been my grandma if she was still alive, God bless her. But that their only encounter with someone might be that cashier.
Yeah.
When you take that away, you can see him. When there's them self-checkouts and there's a little old dear there, and they're just bamboozled by it all, and it's sad to see.
The video you now, don't they, as well? The self-checkout, it's got your face on there and everything. It's fucking crazy. I
mean, I've seen some positive stuff, because I think they put some in, not that I went, but Iceland in centre of town, they had to take them back out, all the self-checkouts, because no one were using them.
Good.
And now when I gone to the one at the local one, Morrison's, there's all cashiers are getting more and more. I mean, they complain, but I'm like, you try to show them and tell them, well, you wouldn't have a job, or don't you think it's better this way of having human interaction? And you can see, like, the little seed going in their head, you know, a little light bulb going, oh, yeah, there's a better way to... Life's a perception game, and it's how you see it. And I think it's a superpower to be able to look at the silver lining all the time.
Yeah.
Because I think so many people are just easy to pass out of, this is bad, that's bad, that's bad.
I know, and it's living in fear again.
Yeah.
It's fear of everything again. It's like the cashless society, they're obviously pushing that now, and we're all saying, no, let's keep cash alive, but I guarantee you still pay for things on your phone.
I do. I do both. And it's
we're lazy by nature. Like, I don't go to the cash point and get cash out to go pay. I don't.
No.
I should.
Yeah.
We should.
Well, these are the little things out there.
Again, we're not perfect, are we?
No.
We're not, you know, no one's trying to pretend that we are.
No.
I'm as lazy as everyone else when it comes to that, and I think it would take us all. I think during lockdown I lost hope.
Did you?
Yeah. I think I lost hope because I saw how gullible people were, and I saw the things that they were falling for and believing, and I lost hope in humanity a little bit there. Like, I actually felt like, you know, we're doomed, you know, because these people will believe absolutely fucking anything that comes out the corner.
Yeah.
And they still will. They still will. The majority would believe, you know, anything.
But for them to accept that it's all corrupt, it means that the whole life's been a lie. And that's...
As was ours.
Yeah, but the thing for me was, it can't go on the way it is. Like, I'll ask you now, would you rather be where you was or go through this awakening?
Oh, I'd rather be here now.
Yeah. And everyone said everyone who sat in that chair said the same thing. As much as it's been painful and it's fucking awful, and would you do it again? And they all go, yep. It's instant. There's not even like...
Do you know, it's weird because when people come and work with Kambo, you get two sorts. You'll get ones that will sort of lift out of those patterns and energies.
Yep.
And then you'll get people that will sit back down in them.
Right.
Because it's the easier option. So Kambo will show you the victim that you're sitting in.
Yeah.
And it will show you a way out. But a lot of people don't want that way out.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It's hard to face, and it's hard to feel out of character.
Yeah.
Because you've built your character for so long around being a victim, or around being aggressive, or around being angry, whatever you are.
Yeah, yeah.
You've built your whole persona and your character, telling yourself all this time that this is you and this is part of you. Really, it's not. It's just an energy that you've been holding on to and a pattern that you're following.
Yeah.
People don't want to realise this because all of a sudden you don't know yourself.
And that's what scares people, because they're like, where's it going to enter if I keep on doing this? And like, I always say the same thing. A baby doesn't come out a racist. Or
no.
Like, we came out
We're
fucking loving nature.
We taught everything.
Yeah, and when we get back to who we were, that's what, like, who you'll be. You'll be a loving...
A baby doesn't know how to be angry or resentful. Your parents teach you that. Inadvertently, subconsciously, not purposely.
No, and we don't. And I think
we're like animals. We pick up what we see, and we learn from the environment around us. And if our parents are living in fear, then we're going to grow up living in fear. It really is as simple as that. You see it as well, like when you go to your places, and your children will act the way that you do. Like, if you go in a room and you hide back and you're really shy and you can see it, your child will then become not, like, confident. Yeah. And that's what it's all about. I love Gary Vee, what he says is, like, just don't bullshit your kids. Like, if they're really bad at something, don't tell them, like, they're great at it, but inspire them and tell them the things that they're good at, or, like, just keep on building them up, their self-esteem, so that they don't feel like they have to hide away. Because that's where, when we step into these things that make us unique, that's where our power lies. And it is, we're not supposed to all be the same. It's about finding our way back. Yeah. Before all the learning and the conditioning and everything that we've been taught, it's about stripping all that back and getting back to the love, which is all what we were born with. Yeah. love and truth. Those are the only real energies. Everything else is an illusion, if you like,
Yeah.
of the matrix that we live in.
Yeah.
Anger, resentment, they're all taught to us. They're all energies that we take on. They're all things that we learn to do.
Yeah.
Jealousy, bitterness, all of those things we learn. Those are not earth-created energies. Those are human-created energies.
Yeah.
And we have to learn them. We have to experience them.
Yeah.
But it's when you choose to live in them that it becomes a real problem.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what's your take on psychedelics, like mushrooms and...
I think they're life-changing. In the right hands,
Yeah.
in the right circumstances. And again, I think people rush to them, like ayahuasca and mushrooms, thinking it's going to be the answer to everything.
Yeah. Nothing's the answer. You're
No,
the answer.
There's no magical potion like that.
You're the answer. You're like, individually, it's in you. It's already in you. It's just, these are... I see them as the tools to get to a deeper part that you couldn't get to.
Yeah. They'll show you things. And again, I've worked really deeply with mushrooms myself. One of my favourite pastimes is just going sitting on the moors and staying in the van and taking mushrooms by myself in the dark and seeing what comes up. It's an adventure in itself.
Yeah.
And some of my greatest, I would say, enlightenments have happened during psychedelics.
Yeah.
Some of my some of the moments that have defined my life have been brought to me through working with psychedelics, I would say, definitely.
Yeah.
Mushrooms.
I'd say so myself. And one of the most powerful ones that I've had by myself was when I was just like, I didn't know where to, before this podcast, even though it were in my mind's eye, it was like, I'm fed up of trying to find where I'm supposed to go, because I felt like I was a dog with two dicks. Like, there was so much I wanted to do, but I didn't know what, and it was like, I'll just surrender it. I'll surrender it to a higher power. Like, as long as it's for all good intention, I just want it to lead me there. And I did that, and then all this, like, these ideas come through. And it's because it's a bigger, it's about something bigger than you.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's about, I think that's where we all miss the point of, we're all trying to, I know the old me would have done, it's like for these titles and to be up there, and it's like, no, it's about helping everyone else, because if everyone else it's like if you were rich and you had 10 friends, but you were just like, oh, you're all poor, but I've got all money, and it's like, where would the fun in that be? You know, that wherever you go out, if they're still knocking about you, you're going to have to pay for most of the stuff, and it's like the begging. Wouldn't it be a much better idea of teaching them how to get that money, or however you've got this, like, exactly the same way that you put it is, you did the Kambo, you knew how transformational it was, and now you're going to share it with the world. It's all about sharing the knowledge that we've all taken upon us, and that's what it's about.
I think we all bring something.
Yeah.
We all bring a little piece to the puzzle. And even the ones that we think do.
Yeah.
They all teach us something. And they all come together to amalgamate the whole thing.
Yeah.
Everything's relevant. Everyone, everything, every emotion, every feeling, it's all relevant to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the understanding of where these things should be placed.
Yeah.
When your emotions should be felt, why they're being felt, where does that come from? How do I release that emotion now? The understanding of these things is what will lift us all.
Yeah.
If we all learn to control our emotions, to understand each other better, if we all come together to support one another better, and we all sort of share visions of what life could be like, it would come together much beautifully. Sadly, there's so many people that are just already, what I would say, gone with the system. They're in the rut of life, and they'll do that till they die.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not supposed to wake all those up.
No.
We're not.
No, I don't. I think that's just, it's the cycle of life in that aspect, isn't it? That's they've chose, and they'll have to come back. I always see it as it's reincarnation. If you ain't learned it this time, you'll have to learn it next time. Yeah. And I think that's all it is. And I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, I think it's my last time here." I don't know where that fits in with me. I don't know. I'm hoping I can do the best to my ability to be the best person I can be as I am now. You know, like keep on progressing, and it does. None of that matters in this moment, does it? It's always that looking forward of, and I think we all get tired up. A lot of people get tied up in the spiritual things, like, oh, this is my last time here, and this is, and like, we don't know anything. Like the more times I uncover something, I'm like, I don't know anything at all.
No one knows anything.
Like I know some bits about myself, but I don't know.
We're all just guessing.
Yeah.
And well, there's no instructions for this. We're all lost. We're all making mistakes, and we're all bouncing off each other while we're making those mistakes.
Yeah.
It's about having understanding that people are going to make mistakes, and people are going to trigger you, and it's how those things affect you and your energy that you can control. And that's the only thing that's in your control.
Yeah.
Is how it affects
how
you.
And that is it, and it's knowing how you turn up in the world.
It's emotional fitness.
Yeah, no one can bother you unless you let them bother you.
Yeah, it's just so easy to fall into victim of life, be a victim of life. I'm not bothered if it's not my last time. I don't mind coming back and doing this again because I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm enjoying the learning. I love learning, and once I get into learning something, I'm with it.
Has it always been like that then? Have you always liked learning?
Yeah.
Even at school? Do you like school or...?
I've always been a focused learner.
Have you?
But I wasn't very into what they taught you at school.
Yeah.
So martial arts, I was absolutely obsessed for years.
Yeah.
For years with all different styles. That was my life for years, just learning and learning. Like a sponge once I get going.
Yeah.
But it has to pique my interest.
Yeah, of course.
And that was what...
Otherwise it's forced, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what happened with the patterns and the energies. Something piqued my interest, and it got me to realise how much we hold on, how much we're a vessel, and how much we can let go, and how much we can unravel. And I'd very much sat in victim as well for many years, thinking life treats me like this.
It's their fault, and it's
people treat me like
I'm like this because of them, and
and it's such an easy thing to do.
Well, that's the way that we're taught.
Blame everyone else and just roll in that victim, and it makes life so easy doing that. And I like everyone else did that. I felt a victim of life, and it's not until you realise you're only a victim because you're holding on to being a victim.
And you're the one projecting the script as well, aren't you? If you're saying victim, it's playing it back, and it's
agreeing with you again. Okay, then you are a victim. Here's some more situations to put you in victim mode. And that I see people doing that all the time.
Yeah.
They'll go from relationship to relationship, being a victim, wondering why they're pulling in this same pattern, this same energy, these same people, in different people. They'll see the same patterns and behaviours, and they're like, how am I pulling in this same thing all the time? Because you're holding that energy within you. We're a magnet.
And it's the same lesson coming up in different forms.
Yeah, because you're not listening.
It's like, hey, but it's happening again. I'm like, yeah, just different energies, but it is the same energy in a different vessel, and it's going to keep on doing it.
I think I had a massive door moment. I was like, oh, fucking hell, how long have I gone along with this? I always say to people when they come with Kambo, like, clarity's beautiful, but it comes at a price, and that's realisation. Realisation of how long you've sat in that shit for.
Yeah, sitting in that shitty nappy, isn't it?
Yeah. How long you've chosen to be that victim, or how long you've allowed yourself to be that perpetrator, or how, for me, it was how many people I'd hurt along the way with my toxicity.
Yeah.
It was like, fuck.
I see that, like, even I would very much piss taker and sarcasm, and I got it from my dad. But I've said some nasty stuff over the years. Not at the time it wasn't, but I knew how to press people's buttons. Mm-hmm. But I did it for a laugh. But I look back now and how many people do take things to heart. And I think, how many times did I make people not want to come to school, or they didn't want to... And I was just thinking, you twat. But it's like, at least... And I remember texting a lot of people saying, I'm sorry. And they're like, since I've seen them since, they're like... You didn't do all. No, they're like, you didn't do all, and I went, you don't think I did, but I know what I did. Like, you don't think them little words hurt you, and I know they have, because they're the little things that we let
subconsciously that we'd
go, oh yeah, we're all right, but not shaking it off.
Yeah.
it has stopped them from stepping into the self or feeling comfortable, because I know it has with me.
Yeah.
And it's like, that were an hard one to swallow, because you're like, how many times have you made someone go inside the self and not be their authentic self?
Yeah, and that was part of the shamanic training that we went through. It was seeds of death, and when you speak words on someone, they go out and they burrow their way into that person's energy, whether they've heard them or not. It will start to burrow its way into its energy. It's like a spell, and you really need to be mindful of what you say, because you are pulling in your own karma, and your own sort of bounce back when you sit gossiping, when you sit resentful or bitter or all these things, and you sit and you're sending out these words into the universe, you're pulling your own karma back tenfold. Yeah. And that's what I like to allow people to do. Yeah. If they want to sit in that resentment and they want to be bitter and they want to carry on that life, I know 100% that they're pulling in their own karma. Yeah. It's an hard one, isn't it? Yeah. And I think the same post earlier today is like, you judge on others, is you're going to get judged yourself. Like, that's the way it's going to go out. Yeah. Because I know that's something that I'm an over-analyst of myself. But I know that I can be an over-analyst on other people, and that's something that I'm trying to integrate at the moment, is just step back away from it. Just observe it, don't give it a label. And I think that everything's it's really hard breaking it down. It's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a challenge, but like you say, there's ways to go around it.
But if you're up for a challenge, then it's great.
Yeah. Like, and it's I think they say if you go seeking, it's also seeking you, like, to unpack it all. Yeah. And what's the biggest lesson that you've learned on Kambo, through Kambo yourself? Like, what would you say as a standout?
It's got to be the energy release. It's got to be, the fact that the way that we hold on to energies defines our whole life. Yeah. That was a breakthrough for me. It was like, if I hold on to this, that's going to send me into that pattern and this pattern, and being able to unravel the spaghetti junction of all the patterns and the energies that I'd hold on to was a magical gift for me. It was life-changing. And that's what I try and sort of pass on to other people. Some people are ready to sort of hear that and work with it, and some people are not at that point yet. And all I can do is sort of present that information and the opportunity. If you're not ready, you're not ready. Yeah. But for me, that was life-changing.
Yeah. When I did Kambo with you the first time, it just showed me my son, of my relationship with him, and got to be more present and be more caring and be there for him, rather
what a beautiful gift that is.
Yeah, and I remember you saying, because we were out of the gluttonous thing, you're like, it's probably not going to be that. It'll be somewhat far deeper, because it is far deeper. Yeah. But it's not something that can be brought to your attention, because you not even know what really reflect it back.
And when you start to look at that, you look at how you were with your son and the pattern that you're in. You can look at the energy that you've held on to, maybe going back even further, that's thrown you into that pattern.
Yeah. Well, I put it down to, and this is no, dig at my dad. He worked away a lot. So in the years that he was working away, these are the years, like, I'm what Archie is now, and he's wanting me, it's to unlock and heal the inner child in me, of the
triggering something.
Yeah, through the absence of my dad. I didn't know that it bothered me, but your inner child is like, he's scared somewhere down there. And the more that you make that relationship right with your son, you're doing the inner healing on you. It's in turn, and it's mystical, magical, and it's helping both parties as well, because you are healing your son, and you're breaking. I know the word gets tossed about a lot, breaking in ancestral lines. That is breaking an ancestral line.
It is.
Because hopefully if he ever chooses to have children later down the line, he'll be like, this is what we used to do, and he needs more hands-on approach. Yeah. And that's what we're doing. And then also, to give that, how you can take some medicine, throw up or whatever, and then all that come out of it, and people can't fathom it, because it doesn't work in ways that our minds work at this point. And that's why people are
doesn't show you always what you want to see.
No. It shows what's necessary, doesn't it?
You can come with an intention of what you think you're going to release. And
how many times does that happen for people?
Loads.
Has it? No,
yeah.
I mean, like the actual intention that people come in for.
Yeah, completely different.
Yeah, no, that's what I was saying. How many times it actually hit the thing that they thought it were gonna?
Oh, I'd say it's half and half.
Oh, would you?
Yeah,
right.
I'd say it's half and half. Some people come with obviously a lot of trauma that they've been through in their life, and that's always going to take precedent that they need to release.
Yeah.
Because it's consumed so much of their life.
Yeah.
I didn't have so much of a traumatic childhood.
Yeah.
I was quite safe within my childhood.
Yeah.
It was more emotionally silence. I lived in a lot of quiet and a lot of silence.
Yeah.
I wasn't shown or taught how to have relationships.
Yeah.
Loving relationships or loving families. So I was brought up very different. I wasn't shown any of these things or taught any of these things. I didn't have any of these things.
Nothing to relate to.
No. So for me, it was more unravelling what I'd taken on that way.
Yeah.
It wasn't the heavy traumatic energies of I'd been abused or something like that. It was something else. So when people come and they've been through those things and it's very dominant, they've built a whole character around, whatever traumatic experience they've been through. It dominates their whole being, and that's always going to take precedent. It's not until you get down to the little smaller ones, the unravellings, that it can start to show you things that you didn't even know was a thing until it shows you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I've done that for a long time. That has consumed me for a long time, thinking that way or being that way or feeling that way. So there's different levels of what people have been through and the different levels of where they are. If they've been through something really traumatic in their life, usually that's the precedent that will come up.
Yeah. What are you most excited to see come forth in the next few years?
I'm loving watching the gathering grow.
Yeah.
That community is beautiful. The evenings that we're having, the plans that we've got, it's just beautiful, the community and the way it supports each other. The way that the universe has sort of taken away people and put people in has been very much universally led. And we seem to have landed where we're at a beautiful place. We're having some amazing events.
I think Adele mentioned the other day, said it was like the universe were just celebrating when all fireworks were going off, and it looked so good and all that.
It was crazy. We got free fireworks show. Last time we got, some guy came, was a fire juggler, just went in his bag and come out and started juggling fire. Like, it was like, what is going on? The universe just seems to keep throwing things at us.
Tipping its hat to you.
Yeah, it's magical. I think it sees what we're doing, and I think it sees the purity of what we're doing, because I've not allowed anyone to sort of come in and use it for their own gain.
Yeah.
It's kept very pure. And I've had people come that have wanted to use it for their own gain.
Yeah.
As people do, they're in their own patterns of need and whatever they need. And sadly, it's caused quite a few issues amongst friends and things because they've come at it with the wrong energy and they've had to have the truth of it that we want something different here.
Yeah.
There are plenty of opportunities to go and sell what you want to sell.
Yeah.
The gathering's different. Nobody sells anything. Nobody's trying to take your money. Everything's done to just gather.
Yeah.
Around the music and the fire, and to keep that purity has been a job in itself.
Yeah.
And I've lost friends through that, and I will carry on defending it because I have a vision of something a little bit different.
Yeah, and I do like your idea of it. It's like a night to unwind of the journey that everyone's going through, and it's not about selling. Even if people can maybe get out of the headspace of it's about gaining something. If you go in and meeting in one of them gatherings, you're going to get talking to a community. You're building a community anyway, and it will flourish. And I think
I've had people come a couple of times and they go, "Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I promote this? Can I set this up?" Like, whoa, you've just come. Like, we've been here nearly 2 years. Like, why? that you can see that that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing on sale.
It's like a night off, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a night off from all of that, and that's what the intention was.
Yeah.
You don't have to come worrying that somebody wants to sell you something or rope you into something. You can come and relax.
Yeah.
For that few hours, you can just relax and be yourself. And we've protected that energy, and with that, it's kept the pureness, and the pureness keeps coming. And the vibe, and you've seen the videos.
Yeah,
the music.
Like I said, they're just never it for me at the moment. I'm like, I can see your eyes are all like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, every time we've got something with it, and you just posted one yesterday, and I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah, we're gonna try and get another one. Yeah, I mean, last year I stopped it September because the temperatures do drop. But we've been braver this year. We're getting a few in, and we've decided to try and get another one in 30th of November before the temperatures really drop. We've got musicians coming forward now wanting to sing and play, and
but that's how it grows. And I think I like what you're saying, where you don't really know where the plan is because the path will unfold, and the more like. It's something I'd like to say, like spiritual community or whatever it may be, conscious community. If you realise there's a God or the divine is constantly active with us, whatever energy you're putting out, you're going to get it back. So just like remember that's watching. It doesn't matter.
People need to.
Really it doesn't matter who you don't. If you don't think eyes are watching you now, there is an eye watching you, and it's about if you're conscious about that. Doesn't that give you more inspiration to do the good things? Yeah. Like, that's where I'm at with it. I think I'd watched a guy on the reel says he'd never go into business with someone who wasn't of God. Because he went, when I'm not watching him, he knows someone else is watching him. But it is that mentality as well. Like,
well, spirituality is very similar because the universe is watching.
Yeah. Well, that's what I see.
Spirit's watching.
I see it exactly the same, yeah.
And it sees how you move and it sees how you carry yourself. And I think that's why the gathering's doing so well, is because it sees the intention behind it, and the intention is just for people to come and connect.
Yeah.
It's not to sell you anything, it's not to promote anything, it's just for that connection, because that's what I love, is the connection around the fire and the drums.
You're taking money out of it as well, aren't you? You know, like it's not about money.
It's just donation based.
Yeah.
So people just donate what they can. We don't cut anyone off that can't afford it. There's always a little bit of food that people have made. It's such a lovely vibe.
Yeah.
But I think next year it's going to grow.
Yeah.
We're going to grow it a little bit more. We've got a few plans.
Yeah, no.
Some indoor and outdoor plans. That we've got a lovely crew that's come together. And I think it's gonna. I think it
will.
It's the highlight of my month at the moment, because it's probably the only time I see people.
It's the first time that I see you smile like a Cheshire cat when you're on about it. So it's definitely.
It's my only interaction apart from going to drum class. It's my only interaction. The rest of the time I'm pretty much on my own.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that, having that once a month.
Yeah.
Also retiring back to my cave for the rest of the
month. I like my own personal space. It just, you don't get it all the time, do you?
You don't, because you've got young kids and a family. I do. I do. I get to pretty much sit with myself every day.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the blessing with the shamanic work, because I've had the time to reflect and the time to look. With the Kambo as well, you know, I've not had to go back to a 9-to-5 job and get on with my real life after doing that. I've had the time, which I'm very blessed and grateful for, to sit with these things.
Yeah.
And really deeply sit with them. I work with dogs and I'm finished quite early, so I can just bugger off to the woods every day. And it's given me the opportunity to really sit with myself.
Yeah. Well, that's all. So that's what most of the population's scared about doing, though. Sitting with themselves. Yeah. I love it. It's difficult at the start because your monkey mind just don't want to do it.
Especially if you don't get on with yourself.
Yeah, well that's it. You don't know this yourself, and it's just...
Or you dislike yourself. A lot of people really dislike themselves. They don't want to sit with themselves. They don't like what they see in the mirror. I'm quite happy with what I see in the mirror nowadays.
That's why I think anxiety is, though.
When I compare it to the old me, I was horrible.
Yeah.
Now I'm quite happy with what I see.
Yeah.
I still make mistakes, and we're all going to continue to make mistakes.
Yeah.
But
you got to fuck around to find out, haven't you?
Yeah.
And like even with this podcast, when we started, we've had loads of like teething problems, And I just embraced them, like, let them come at me. Let the failures come at me, like, because the more that I fail, the more that I refine what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the same with your character, is like, let it fall off, because when it falls off, that's a good indication of where I'm going wrong.
Yeah.
And if you don't fail, you still
Exactly.
bounce. It's like what being drunk and just bouncing off at walls.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what you're doing, and I think you're stepping out of the character that society has taught you that you need to be, this normal, everyday person, and you're starting to stand in your own power and be your true self and become creative. And I think that's a beautiful thing in any form.
Yeah.
I welcome anyone that's on that journey, that's sort of stepping out and being brave. What I don't respect is people that hide from that part of the journey.
Yeah.
You know, spiritual bypassing is very, very rife. People will go on a weekend course and all of a sudden they can do this, that, and the other, and they've not even spent any time looking within.
Yeah.
And you can see it. You can see it a mile off.
Yeah.
You can see that this work's not being done. You can see that the energy, or if you can see energy and you work with energy, you can see it a mile off.
Yeah.
And I think anybody that's willing to do that work, I have full respect for, and I'd support you in any way you can.
Yeah.
Because it's not an easy journey.
No, it's not. But I think through hardship comes ease. It's like when you do go from the hard parts, life gets a little bit easier. I'm not saying you know not have a drop off and you'll find something else, but you know next time it's like, there's no point running from it. Let's go through it. Let's go through the hard part, because there's going to be some ease at the end of it, and that's what you keep on finding each time. And it's not as hard as you think. It is difficult. I'm not going to say it's not, but it'll get easier for you approaching it. Because the more that you approach it, you're like, it's not as scary as my mind made it up to be.
I know.
Because we've got to make it scary in fight or flight for us to get all those energies up.
Yeah, and the chemical release within the brain and things like that. And that goes back to the food and what we eat, because a lot of those happy chemicals are produced within the gut. So when we're storing energies and we're putting all these poisons into our body, we're not producing those happy chemicals anymore. No. I think it's 90% of cortisol cortisol is produced in the gut, the happy chemical. So when you're piling all this toxin and poison, and then you're holding all this energy on top of that, that's why you start to turn to the tablets and the anxiety medications and things like that, because it's your
second brain, isn't it?
It's a system that they've got you in.
Yeah.
They've got you in a looping system. Eat these toxins, drink this water, take this medication to relieve the way it makes you feel. And it's a loop and it's a pattern. And as soon as you stop all of that and you start to become more conscious of what you eat, what you drink, and you stop all the medications, you find that the brain fog just goes, doesn't it?
It's just far cheaper to live.
Yeah, and it's much happier, isn't it? It's much happier life.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people are just on supplements as well at the moment, like, just get it from the natural source. Get it from the source.
Everything's a fad, and you know, business people will infiltrate everything like they do within spirituality. Yeah. There are people that are just out to make money, and
of course, yeah.
Just it's quite infiltrated with it, and there are fads, and I think bringing it back to simplicity is the key. You know, natural foods, natural diet, good water, a good healthy release, hobby.
Yeah.
Something that you can get your head round. Not sitting in front of the...
Getting creative, that's the number one for me, is like, we overconsume because we're under-creating.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask people what they've created, and they might be 50-year-old, they don't even know. And they've got nothing. You know, like, that's what your ear's supposed to be doing.
It's blocked though, because we hold, going back to the energies again, we compress these energies, and we have a womb space. Even a man has a womb space.
I didn't know that.
And that's where creation comes from. That's where
solar plexus is
everything's birthed in the womb space. So for a woman, this is really important. This is where all of her creativity comes from, is within her womb space. When we hold trauma or we hold energies, it's held within the womb space. So you're blocking your own creativity by holding on to these energies. As soon as you start to release them through work with medicines or whatever, music or whatever it is, your creativity will come back to life, because you're releasing these energies from the held space.
Yeah, that's wild, isn't it? And the other thing I wanted to go back onto is the mushrooms. When we were having them, I hadn't had them for quite some time now, but something I noticed after having them, and I don't know if it was the same for you, I'd project, like, the ego would come out, as it would, like, I'd have these great visions, I'd know all the things to do, and then it'd be like, and it'd take control of it, knew better than other people, and it'd become quite nasty, you know what I mean? But in an overpowering way, because I remember Zoe, like, you can't do that. And it was quite noticeable as well. Like, going back to, I had like a Judge Dredd moment. It was like, I am the law. You know, it came out of my mouth that something that I knew, and I said it, and I instantly like, who the fuck said that? I'm playing an actual program of, you know, and I'm just wondering if you've ever had any instances of that, or feel like it, because you are having an energy spillage, aren't you? Really, the good stuff's coming out, but it's bringing out the bad.
Yeah, so all of my psychedelics, I've been alone really. I've not done them in ceremonies. I've not done them with people.
Yeah.
So it brings up everything.
Yeah,
it brings up everything, and it will throw you into egoic patterns. Or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
you want. It will sit you down like any medicine. It will sit you down in those patterns to show you things, to guide you to release yourself from those patterns, because that's what needs to happen. It's not the medicine that's going to pull you out, it's going to be you that's got to dig yourself out of that trench or out of that pattern, or it's you that's got to realise that trait that you're carrying, and it will show you it. And to do that, it sits you right down in it.
It wasn't, for me, it wasn't when I've been in it, it was like the integration, the day and 2 day after. It's like, that's when it'd come, whilst we're in it, the ego's like gone, it's all nice, and so was the next day, but further on as the day go by, that's when it were coming out, and I'd started to notice it were doing it, and I was like, need to get a grip of this, you know, before I do take any more. Not that I even feel the need to at the moment, but it's just good to have that self-awareness of that is doing it.
Yeah.
Because so like, if you're going to do it next time, are you best going away for a couple of days after and integrating it that way? Because it's like you're spewing it back up and putting it on someone else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what we're very much trained to do in society, is regurgitate all of our stuff back into each other's cups.
Yeah.
So it's like, rah, 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 and you're pouring it into mine, and we're all pouring it into each other's, and that's very much how we've been taught to live again.
Yeah.
Is offload and trauma bomb and pour all our stuff into each other's vessels. So no one ever really has a clear cup.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you see somebody, or a society has trained us to, as soon as we see somebody with a clear vessel, we're designed to start trying to pour our shit into them.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I realised this when I came back from the Kambo training, and I was completely clear. Felt completely empty. I noticed straight away people were trying to pour into the cup that I just emptied, and I was like, no chance you're doing this. And I lost again a lot of people because I was protecting this cup so much. And I think psychedelics do that for me as well. They allow me to empty my cup by seeing these things, and they'll show me something every time. Every time there's a lesson or a message.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah, I've had that, and it's the thing as well. People are skeptic of it, like, well, mushrooms, they're out there, and I says, well, the thing for me is, like, when I used to have a drink, I'd want a bag of cocaine, and then it's just all bad stuff.
Yeah.
I says, when I take mushrooms intentionally, I get ideas how to change the world. And I'm not saying I'm going to save the world by myself. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but I get ideas how to connect more back to nature, and I'm like, so what's the bad thing in it? I mean, I guess there is people who take them and do bad stuff. I'm not saying that, but on the whole,
I think it's understanding again.
Yeah.
Understanding of what you're taking, and the integration, and
having the respect for it as well, because there's got to be deep respect for it.
Of course there has.
Because that'll take you into depths that you haven't even been in.
Yeah, it's not about just getting all twirly and swirly. It's about using these tools, these medicines, these gifts, to really look within. And when you start to do that, you start to really see the power within them.
Yeah.
I think microdosing is super powerful for psilocybin.
Yeah.
Super powerful, because what it does, it not only rewires your brain, it repairs neural pathways. So all the time that you're working with psilocybin, even on a small amount, it's repairing the neural pathways that have been damaged within the brain, but it's also creating new ones.
Yeah, well, when I have them, I can feel it. You can hear the frequencies. It feels like, the way that I describe it is, it feels like you're getting an upgrade.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it feels
Yeah, it does.
like.
It
And
does.
the fine, it's just like it's fine tuning you.
Yeah.
And I think it's the way of where the representation of a lotus flower, it's opening, because it's opening your mind up
Yeah.
to more possibilities.
It's true. But again, that upgrade, it comes with a little bit of a price, and sometimes that's the ego showing you or sitting you down in these things. That's the price. There's always a price.
Yeah,
There's always something to go through to get these upgrades.
yeah,
And I feel that's what Kambo does. It's a hell of a process, and it's not for everyone, but it's a clearing.
yeah,
It's a clearing of not only the mind, because it works with the brain, but it's a clearing of the energies, and it's a reset of where you're at in life, so that you have a choice. Do I want to go back down these patterns, or do I want to do something new?
yeah. No,
Because new doors only open with new actions.
yeah, no, that's powerful, isn't it? Is there anything else that you would like to?
Oh, thank you for having me in this beautiful space. I just want to mention this amazing floor again. You've done such a beautiful job at this. The power and the energy in this room, you can really feel it. I wore my copper especially.
The tensor rings.
Yeah, because I knew you had the copper floor. So I'm all coppered up especially, and I can feel the energy. I'm feeling really high in here today.
Quality, brother.
It's beautiful, but no, thank you for having me. I think we've covered some
Yeah,
some good
serious
stuff.
ground.
Yeah. And I'll probably watch it back and regret a lot of it.
No, well, I don't think you can. Again, there's always something to learn from it, isn't there?
We've just got to keep it real. haven't we?
Yeah,
You know?
that's being authentic's the number one thing for me. Like when I've done a couple of podcasts before, I ask for feedback. I'm like, is the old that? Because we do that self-doubting thing. Do we sound stupid? Do it? And they're like, no, you don't. And
I think
like,
if you just be honest, then
Yeah.
that's all you can be in it.
and
You
that's
know,
all,
That's
that's
all.
what everyone wants.
Yeah, that's all I've tried to be tonight. Is honest. Like I'm no superhuman. I've been where everybody's been.
Yeah,
I've been knee deep in those patterns twice over. And if I can find a way out, then you can.
yeah. No, that's a good message. That's a good message. And I'll put your stuff on the description of the podcast, so people can get in touch with practices
Yeah.
and the gathering.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.